plans at all to achieve our goals. Also, another important point in the investigation phase is to understand what are your critical success factors. School to school, whether it's a government school, it's an urban school, anywhere in the country, will have different kinds of critical success factors. Some typical success factors are our training programs delivering? What kind of learning environment are we creating? Do we have adequate infrastructure? Do we have, what kind of leadership is actually spearheading the whole schools movement? Are we connected to the world outside? So really depends upon what kind of critical success factors you identify. Having done that, the next step is inclusion. Inclusion of stakeholders. It's extremely important to get everyone together to have a voice. It's a good idea to have a planning committee, which is based out of teachers. It's a good idea to have a student council involved. It's a good idea to have parents involved. And of course, the government machinery, because without them, you can obviously not make any change. Innovation needs to be the foundation and the very base of everything that we do. You need to innovate in your physical infrastructure. You need to look at energy efficient buildings, which are green. You need to look at different ways of doing recruitment so that the right kind of people are coming into the school. You're looking at doing the kind of information technology architecture that you deploy in the schools needs to be such that it allows for seamless integration of newer technologies. You need to try out the newer pedagogical approaches, what we already know, and perhaps innovate within that. You also need to connect with your alumni. This is one of the most underused gold mines that is existing in every single school. I had the pleasure of meeting a school in Bombay that has actually gone and has such a huge alumni connect program. The school connects actually with all their alumni, and they basically cater to the people who come from the weaker sections of society. 5 years or 7 years, they track children after they have left college. And then if they find that the children are not doing well, they bring them back and they train them again, all free of cost. How many schools can actually do this kind of a thing? Because their school feels responsible for the success of every single child that has passed through their portal. So innovation. The next step is implementation. Whatever, based on whatever your investigation reveals, you obviously need to create an implementation plan. Implementation could be around training, around curriculum enhancement, around connections with community. It could be around the learning environment, whatever is the appropriate critical success factor and whatever the audit reveals. Different kinds of programs required for different kinds of stakeholders. I think there's a whole load over there which I would obviously not have the time to go into, but the most critical out of these, I think, to my mind, is the teachers' development program. Like I said earlier, every school in the country, every government in the country, every state government in the country is investing a lot of money around teacher training. Unfortunately, that teacher training is not in line with the vision of the school. And so teacher training is discrete, leadership training is discrete, student programs are discrete, and that has nothing to do with the vision. What needs to be done is creating a vision, and from there, understanding what we need to do for teachers' training programs. I've personally been involved in a lot of teacher training programs where we've trained extensively across the country in some of the top schools and some of the government organizations as well. And it's sad to know that people take training with the least amount of interest. It's just something to do. You know, just a mandate to be done, and they just do it and end of story. They also don't monitor how the training will actually get back into the classrooms. And that's the big link that is missing over there. Teacher training is important because teachers are crucial and central to the school's existence. In fact, a few years ago in a seminar like this, I happened to, we were talking to people in industry with what we can do with the field of education. So there was this young, brash CEO, 35-something, Bangalore sort of seems to be full of them. And he turns around to the whole group of us and tells us, he says, what do you expect from a person who believes his best option in life is to become a teacher? So all of us looked pretty aghast, and so we looked at him and we said, what do you mean? He says, so he turns around to this lady next to me and he says, Mrs. Lakshmi, be honest, what do you make? Basically, how much money do you make? So Lakshmi looks at him and says, you know what I make? I make kids wonder. I make kids question. I make kids feel proud to be an Indian. I also teach maths. You know what I make? I make a difference. And what do you make? Software. That's the key. Teachers make the difference. Every single day, every day, what they say, what they do, how they behave in the classroom is imbibed by our children. I can take a bet today that amongst all of us sitting here, we're all been impacted by what our teachers thought of us. If they thought good things about us, we rose to those expectations. Those of us who were naughty brats and who were pegged, this one can't do anything, we'll have lived up to that reputation. I'll take only another 2 minutes. And so, the entire realm around teacher training needs to be relooked at. This is the approach that we take when we are doing our training programs. It's extremely crucial to look at an inviting curriculum. Let's make our science lab discovery labs where children learn and discover. Let's make maths labs where children learn mathematical concepts using mathematical manipulators. Let's use the library very, very effectively. Let's look at the future schools being able to connect with industry, connect with academia of universities, connect with the world around us, and there are very many ways of actually making this happen. Let's look at an environment which is extremely continuous, which is relevant, and which is adaptive to every child's requirements. Most important is the person who's leading the school. Can that person engage all stakeholders? Can that person think strategically? Can that person demonstrate some responsibility? I think these are very, very crucial questions. And then finally, let's introspect as to where we reach, whether we are on track or whether we need to change. At the foundation of the school, folks, we stand, each one of us. And we stand with our choices. Because we need to understand that we make the difference, not anybody else. And we need to make the right decisions. Because today is the moment, and today we have a choice to take the right decision, to take the right movement ahead. I thank you for a patient listening. Thank you.
Would you like to ask questions now or just before the lunch?